All right, everyone, here's the rant. One of the comments in the video, I went on vacation. You're about to start seeing those vacation videos. The primary purpose of that, though, is I put a driving through El Paso video up, and it was literally driving down the freeway. And that was all it is. We drove down the freeway. So I'm going to do much better. There's going to be 4 or 5 videos about El Paso coming up in various locations around the city, and some driving around in Juarez. And my impressions and thoughts of Juarez. Those videos are going to take a bit because they need editing. Some of the videos have music in the background that YouTube won't allow. Other videos have family talks in the background that don't really need to be on YouTube. So I have to redo the sound on them. So those are going to take some editing. One of the places we did visit was Fort Bliss, and went through the museum they have there. You know, that's the home of the 1st Armored Division. So they had a lot of tanks in that museum, and I got to look at a lot of tanks up close, spanning from World War II onwards, all the way up to modern armor. So that was fun. They had a V2 rocket, too. I didn't expect that. Hello, Mr. Thunderpaws. Yeah, hello. Anyhow, while there, I went by Hal's Hobby World and bought a few things, and they were in the previous video a second ago while I was cleaning up the desk a little bit. There they are. I didn't buy much at Hal's Hobby World. I bought a couple of Metal Earth things, Doctor Who's TARDIS and a Dalek. I have a Dalek kit. I haven't seen a Doctor Who TARDIS model kit yet. That doesn't mean one doesn't exist. I just haven't seen it. I'm sure one exists somewhere. Walking around Hal's Hobby World, I had some thoughts occur to me. You had some thoughts too, Thunder? I can't pet you over there. You're too far away. I'll clear this chair off, and you can come over here and bug me. How's that sound? You can come over here? Come on. There we go. I know, you don't jump. You're too big. Mr. Thunder, he's gotten a little fat. So let me point the camera down to Mr. Thunder. He wants to be on film, right? You got a tangle, too. Let's get those off. Anyhow, I'm walking around Hal's Hobby World and looking. They have... It looked to me like they're selling down their stock. And that... Last time I saw that, my local hobby shop closed doors about a month later. And one of the comments on one of the videos was, did you visit any local hobby shops? Because I used to do that on vacation. Track down a local hobby shop and go in there and visit them and interview people in there. And I quit doing that because it's getting harder and harder to find local hobby shops. And that was what the comment said. I know they're getting fewer. And they are getting fewer. I don't buy model kits at local hobby shops anymore because I don't have one to buy it at. There just isn't one here. Okay? And we go to Houston occasionally. I know one in Houston, but I bet I know of 2 in Houston. I haven't been by them in the last couple of years, but I've seen the other ones I knew of just shut down and disappear. So hobby shops are getting few and far in between. I would hate to see Hal's shut down, but there were people in there while I was there, too. When I got there, I was the only one. Miri and I had Miri running around the hobby shop. It was just her and I running around the hobby shop. And while we were there, like 3 or 4 other customers came and bought something and left. So they weren't completely without business. And it was a Sunday afternoon. But it just felt to me like they were headed towards the big abyss of no more hobby shop in El Paso. What's happening is online hobby shops are out competing them. And you go to Hal's Hobby Shop, Hal's Hobby World, and you can find a few things while you're in there. And I'm going to show you one I found. I'm trying to find it. I saw it a second ago on my shelves. It didn't take too long to get it. I saw this one in Hal Hobby's World. The Fine Molds Y-Wing. Okay? Thunder decided he didn't like that I closed the door. Some of my family just walked in the house. And they'll make some noise. Anyhow. Hal's Hobby Shop, getting back to that, they had that Y-Wing kit in there. And I haven't looked at it on eBay for a while, but they had some Bandai Star Wars kits too. And there was one I wanted. And they had, what was it I really wanted to buy that was in there? Oh, it was some of the Dragon Marvel kits. They had Rocket Raccoon and Groot. And I wanted to buy that kit. But the problem with it was the Fine Molds Y-Wing was almost $100. And I look at that and go, wait a minute, $100 for that kit? I can go on eBay and dig it out, and I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I can get it cheaper on eBay if I'm patient. And the Bandai Y-Wing, I just picked one up from Tokyo Model Detective, and I think it was like $25. That doesn't count shipping, but I bought like 6 model kits at the same time, and shipping for all 6 of them was like $15. You look at that, and you're like, it gets hard to justify buying things at your local hobby shop. Now, when we had one here in town, I would go buy paints and everything from him. I go buy paint or something once every other week or so just to try to keep a little revenue going into his pocket. I know paint doesn't bring him a lot. Couldn't buy a lot of model kits, but I'd say probably about a quarter of the model kits in this room came from him. You're just trying to keep the hobby store going, mainly because he's a small business. I have a small business. I can relate. And it would be nice to keep a hobby shop here. But when they're so overpriced over what you can find online, it's hard to justify doing so. And I get it. He's got to pay rent. He's got to pay employees. He's got to pay a lot of things that your big box hobby shop, yeah, they're paying rent. But they're paying rent on a warehouse and not a storefront. And there's a huge difference on storefront versus warehouse rent. I know because I'm running a business in an office building, and my wife is running a business in a storefront, and we know the difference in the rent. Just in the sizes. I mean, I'm paying almost the same rent she does, and my bills are paid and hers are not. Anyhow, having said all that, I get it. I get why they have to charge that price, but people won't pay it. So the local hobby shops are slowly dying. It's a sad thing to see. I mean, one of the fond memories I have as a kid was getting in the car with Dad and driving to a hobby shop and just looking around at all the stuff in there you could make. The model rockets, the airplanes, the helicopters, the not radio controlled, the tetherline airplanes. You know, and the trains and all sorts of stuff in there. And sure, we can go to Michael's, Hobby Lobby, and the lot, but it's not quite the same because there's sewing and other stuff in there. And it's not, they don't feel like the hobby shop of old, just like the mom and pop hobby shops can feel. And to me, it's a shame, but I understand it and see where it's going. I mean, Amazon is destroying Best Buy and Walmart. I'm still surprised Best Buy's hanging in there. I think a lot of it's just customer service. I know I'd rather buy something from Best Buy than Amazon if the prices are similar. And somehow Best Buy keeps maintaining similar prices and will price match Amazon and has a store and has customer service. Because Best Buy is doing that, they get my money before Amazon. It's just the way I am with that. So, you know, I don't know. I'm pretty sure the mom and pop hobby shops, some of them are going to exist. Some of them in local areas are going to exist. But without merging over to online sales and doing something that way, I don't think they're going to exist for long. They got to do something. I don't know. Anyone has any solutions? Post them. Let's get a discussion going. But for now, I'm not sure what to do about the online, the mom and pop hobby shops versus online. I mean, I've toured Squadron's warehouse. You can see it on some of the videos from like 3 or 4 years ago. It's about 4 times the size of Hal's Hobby World, maybe 5 times the size. And since it's in a warehouse area in Dallas, they're paying nowhere near the rent. Well, Hal's Hobby may not, because they're not in the best of locations. As a storefront in El Paso, they're kind of off the beaten track. So they might be okay with the rent they're paying, or they may even own the building since they've been there so long, which would make it easier for them to survive. But anyone trying to open a hobby shop in a storefront where there's a lot of traffic is going to face those issues because they're going to be paying a lot for rent to keep open. Just my thoughts on that. Running a small business, I see the perspective of it. I also see comments online that this hobby, model building, is dying in the United States. I know outside the United States, it's not dying. It's just here. And part of that is the attention span. We are teaching kids not to have attention spans. I see it in my children. I try to correct that by turning the TV off and letting them play without the TV. Miri so far is really good about that. Emmy's too young to know the difference. She doesn't even watch the TV. BB would rather read a book, which I'm perfectly happy with. So I'm trying to point my kids in the right direction to start focusing their attention and not have it just glazed over watching a TV. I also bring them in here occasionally and get them painting, but being girls, I don't know if they'll ever really get into a hobby like I am. Sure, they might get into painting figures. Sure, they might get into building things. That's why we did some resin experiments and a few other things. But I don't know. We'll see. Post your thoughts. Let us discuss. I will talk to all of you later. I need to get my happy Heine in bed because I got a lot to do tomorrow. I've got 3 more weeks, 2.5 more weeks, and we have finals starting up. So everyone enjoy. I will talk to you all later.